skill from any NBA player, active or retired, who would it be and what would you take?
A skill from any NBA player, active or retired. Steph's shooting. It's pretty easy.
Popular answer. If you could choose your own walk-up song, what would it be?
That's a good one. I haven't thought about that one. I mean, it's taken already, but I mean, Enter Sandman is killer, right? It's got to be.
And then the last one is, what's a topic that you know more about than anybody in the locker room?
Oh, soccer.
Really?
Yeah, it's not close.
What league do you like to follow?
The Premier League.
Who's your team?
Leeds United.
Dang, okay, fun fact.
Yeah, it's soccer. It's my thing.
How great does it feel to be back home?
It just kind of feels right. You know, when I walk back in the building, seeing the security guards and that I know and love, and the people just working around the building that, I got to form such great relationships with, and being able to engage back with them is awesome. It's putting on this jersey just feels right again, and I'm just, I would have chased this basketball opportunity in Sacramento, Golden State, far away as you could imagine, but the fact that it's here and home is that much better. So,
how important is your veterans' presence going to be for this ball club?
I think we'll wait to find out. I don't know yet. This is the team that has won 64 games last year. So I'm kind of looking at them and going like, how can I help you? Not what can you do for me. So I'm, throughout training camp, throughout the preseason, throughout early season, I'll be figuring out the answer to that question. How can I help best?
Larry, Kenny was saying last week that I know you weren't here last year, but he was saying when he was working with the Olympic team in France, it's kind of like his hair was on fire. He's trying to build rapport with guys, build workout plans for guys, and coach the French Olympic team. With a guy who's so player development focused like him, how much does a full offseason, a full summer, how much can that help guys individually?
No, it's been great. Obviously, Kenny is so player development focused that there's been a lot of player development. Guys like Craig and Jalen Tyson, Naquan have been around, all summer. I used to be the only guy that spent my summers in Cleveland. Now we got a few more thanks to Kenny. So, it's been great. Obviously there's a lot of work ahead of us, but in terms of just my development and the guys that I've seen in the gym so far, it's been great, and I'm excited to work for and underneath them.
Jalen talked a little bit about being together for about a month now, getting some work together. What have you learned about this group, your second go around in Cleveland?
There was one day, and granted, DG and Max aren't able to be on the court with us, but there was one day I was looking around and was just like, man, there's a whole lot of talent in here. There's a whole lot of talent in this locker room. You start to see, some of the teams, a few years ago were real top end heavy, where they had a big three and then the rest of the roster was filled out with guys that, weren't in that in between mold. But this is one of the teams, where you saw the Pacers last year, the Thunder this year, hopefully us, the Celtics, those Warriors teams that have won the past few years, like, it's a full roster thing. Guys 1 through 14, 1 through 15 can really play and help. So it's a unique spot in that way.
Guys like Max.
You mentioned this team being a 64-win squad last year. When you come into an organization like this, you see them winning, but you also see the hunger behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
What does that tell you about the personalities of this team?
That no one's happy. No one is satisfied with just the playoffs. No one's satisfied with just 64 wins, and I know nobody's satisfied with a second round exit again. So, that's the same mentality I'm trying to bring as well. I've only gotten there once in my career, and we didn't win it. So, what a time to what an opportunity to come back and be able to try to do it again.
Guys like Max.
One time, what were the qualities from that team that you saw that maybe this team you see in them as well?
When we went to the finals before.
Yeah, when you went to the championship.
I think early on, again, I've only been, we've been around for each other for like the past month, and I'll know more going forward. But I think that the drive, it's not with that team specifically. We didn't talk so much about Chicago on a random Thursday or Brooklyn on Tuesday. It wasn't like the individual games, and of course nothing against Chicago or Brooklyn. They were just the example I used, but it's more so about the bigger picture and the end goal. Like we're talking about April, we're talking about June, we're talking about playing into those months, and so obviously training camp, preseason, the first few games, early season are going to matter. Of course they do, but again, this is a team with bigger aspirations, and I would say that's kind of the common denominator between the two teams that I've seen thus far. Is just the overarching theme is very much so later, playoff based.
To that point, Tristan was talking last year about those runs to the finals, and he was saying at times for those teams, regular season gets a little boring. For a team with such big playoff aspirations, how do you stay engaged over the course of 82?
No, it's a good point. It does have the potential to get a bit monotonous, in the regular season. But I think that's why we play 82 of them. You're allowed to go through some stretches of ups and downs and still come out, where you're supposed to. So, I would say, I don't know. That's on us as players. That's on us as players to stay locked in and make sure that the random Saturday game is just as important as the next one. We can't get up for ones and down for others. It's all about staying level, and you just never want to peak too early.
Is it championship or bust at this point?
No. I mean, we're sitting here. We haven't even dribbled a ball at training camp yet. I can't sit here and say that. That'd be outlandish for me to be in the locker room for the past month and come and say. So I'll let some of these guys answer that question, and again, I'll just see how I can help them along the way.
You were here at the beginning of this rebuild. Are you surprised how fast they got so good, this Cavalier team?
Well, look. If we're being honest here, I had a lot to do with it. I had a lot to do with it. Early on, helping DG's development, helping JA get introduced to the organization. That you did trade me for Lowry and traded Lowry for Don. So transitive property here. No, it's fun. It's fun. This is a group that's just got so much potential, and I'm just thrilled, really, really thrilled and excited to be back.
Larry,